Hello, everyone. Welcome to the inaugural Into the Gaps with your host, Sheldon. And today I have a huge Yankee fan and a close friend of mine, Mr. Steven himself.
Hello.
Dude, you got a voice for radio, man. Already. So what we're going to do today, we're going to talk about the Yankees and what's been going on with the Yankees. And yes, it's early in the season, but there's a couple of rumblings going on with the Yankees and what's as fans of baseball. And as you can tell, for some of you who actually follow me on some of the other shows that I do, I usually sport a Jays cap. Today, I'm sporting a Yankees cap because, Steven, he's my boy. I got to respect him. I got to respect the Yankees. And quite honestly, don't tell anybody else, but I might as well say I do like the Yankees as well. So,
and the San Francisco Giants. Don't forget about
and
that.
the San Francisco Giants and,
Who else?
The Pirates.
The Pirates.
Baseball in general. So, Steven, let's talk about it, man. The Yankees, I know they're 6-11. It's very early in the season, but what are you feeling right now? What are you feeling?
So I don't reflect Yankee Twitter. I'm on Yankee Twitter a lot, and everyone's like in a meltdown. It's also a very toxic community, so they're very reactionary. It's less. How many games have they played? Really, less than 30.
Mm-hmm.
So they're not playing good at all, and there's something to be said about the way they played part of last season as well, because it wasn't really pretty down the stretch. There were stretches where they weren't playing well at all. So I don't know. I'm just waiting and seeing. I like to assess after a certain amount of games. I don't think this team is playing up to its caliber, so they're just not playing well at all right now.
From what I've seen and what I've noticed with the Yankees, and you can kind of confirm or kind of deny, or we can discuss it. It seems that with Stanton and Judge, not so much Judge, but I'll say Stanton, it seems that he looks slow at the plate. Like there's something that doesn't seem right with him physically. And I don't know if maybe it's the change in his workout routine in the off season, or maybe it's just me looking at it. But what do you feel about Stanton?
Well, I've said this ever since he came over here, especially with that inverted batting stance of his. There's a lot of holes in his swing. A lot of the off-speed pitches away, I feel like he's late to recognize, and he'll just swing almost like a very fuck me swing, and it looks really bad. And as a pitcher, I don't know why they would ever throw him a fastball, especially in a strikeout count. I don't think physically he looks all that bad this season. Well, the way he runs is he's a physical specimen. The Yankees are treating him like glass. They're absolutely not letting him play defense, and they're every 5 days they're not even playing him. So we have him for I don't know how many years. What is it, like 5-6 more years? And we have him. Yeah,
a really long contract.
And we're paying 80 cents on the dollar for him. So in that regards, what he can do come playoff time, because this team is built for the playoffs. Obviously, you gotta win the games to get in the playoffs. But I feel like this team is built for the playoffs. So the way Stanton kind of had like a coming out party last year, and I know, like I said, I don't like how the Yankees are treating him, but then at the same time, the Yankees don't really have an option because they need to keep him healthy, and he seems to not be able to stay healthy. So, yeah.
What's your take on the defense? We'll go back to the offense, but what's your take on the defense?
Terrible. This team is built for offense, and a lot of the times our offense is supposed to carry our defense, and right now our offense is not there. So all around we have a terrible product right now. We have Gleyber Torres, who I don't think is a shortstop for the future. So he's playing shortstop every day, and he's like really bad. Like, he has the arm. I wouldn't necessarily say he has the the range that a top flight shortstop has, but he also makes a lot of bonehead plays, like a lot of simple mistakes he makes, whether it's throwing errors or bobbling a ball. Um, Torres like is not a shortstop. Gio is probably like our brightest shining star in our defense. He makes really really smooth plays. The really hard plays look easy. Um, And then after that, Judge said that he's not gonna go all out on certain plays. Like he's gonna pick his spots. And I hate to hear that because he is a phenomenal right fielder. He's a big guy, but he covers a lot of ground. And to hear that, he's gonna take it easy too kind of really bothers me. But what are you gonna do? Um, yeah. I mean,
Do you
and
think
then
when
our
go
okay,
ahead?
go ahead. I was just gonna say then you got Gary Sanchez, you have uh probably Brett Gardner's our best fielding, but he's supposed to be our fourth outfielder. And you got Clint Frazier, who's a mess. He's a mess. He dives forward for balls that he really doesn't need to. Um I love him. I love him. I love the kind of passion he brings and his offensive talent, but you can see he's very uncomfortable in his skin in the outfield.
Do you think the move from right to left has something to do with Frazier's slow start and kind of awkward defense, or do you feel it's just
His defense has been a thing to note, even going back to the minors. So they've played him all over left, center. He even did some center. I don't know. It doesn't matter the pop ups, the way he goes forward for lunging forward for balls. It just doesn't look smooth. And over a course of the year, he's gonna get errors. He's not gonna score highly defensively in sabermetrics, stuff like that. You just can see it on the eye test. You can just see it. You can just see it.
one of the players or two players that kind of got me concerned, Yankees at the moment, and I'm hoping they turn it around. Um, Aaron Hicks and Gleyber Torres. We did mention Torres' defense. Aaron Hicks looks really struggling, for lack of a better term, at the plate.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
could this be a case where that contract he has now, in retrospect, looks like might be too extravagant for the Yankees?
Okay, so center fielder who walks a lot. He's a high on base guy, and he's a switch hitter with pop and a cannon of an arm that can, you know, make the average base runner halt at second or first or whatever like that. He doesn't have the best range. And right now at the plate, he is struggling, but he is like, I think his on base percentage the last couple games was up there. So he, I think Cashman knows that he's an on base guy. And I think that's the strength of his game is getting on base and with the pop from, I think from right side, I think he has more pop than he does on the left side, which is kind of funny because he plays at Yankee Stadium. But yeah, I mean the whole team is in a rut right now, and the 7 years at 10 years of 10 mil a year. I don't know. Does that sound like an expensive contract? Could you move him around? Like, I don't know. I don't think it's gonna hurt our team necessarily, but it does take up a roster spot. And when you think of center fielders in the game, I think he's on par for that contract, to be honest.
I'm thinking with Judge heading to free agency in 2023 or
I think
2020,
so. Yeah. Yeah.
and with it looks like the Yankees now with I believe it's Hal Steinbrenner. It's still around, or is it Hank?
Hal Hank is obvious. No, Hank died. Hank passed
Yeah,
away, I
Hank.
think,
Hank.
last
Hank.
year.
Yeah,
Yeah. So Hal is kind of he is the voice of management ownership. So he is the person that Cashman goes to for when, signings need to be happened, or because Hal said, like, or Cashman has said, like, I have to go to Hal for the final confirmation of any decisions. So yeah, it's Hal. And I like Hal. I like Hal. I like when we went out and got Giancarlo Stanton, Hal said everything I wanted to hear. as ownership, because um, he basically said, I want to put out a winning product. I'm not afraid to spend the money. I'm not afraid of getting an expensive contract. And then he also did it again the next year with next year or the following year with
Garrett Cole.
one of the hugest contracts. Garrett Cole's contract is insane for a starting pitcher. But I mean, right now he's playing well, and you can kind of, I like Hal Steinbrenner a lot. I like, he says all the things I want to hear just as a fan.
He reminds me of his dad. Like his dad was like, in terms of like he was not afraid to spend to win.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think I think what what Hal does, and I think what Hal does better than his father is he doesn't interfere. I think he
I
definitely
agree.
has, he's a voiced his opinions this far early in the season. I think that's why they went and got Odor, is because Hal went out and said publicly that our infield defense needs to get better, and while staying under the $210 million tax threshold. So that's yeah. I like Hal. I like Hal.
What's your feeling on Brian Cashman? Personally, I think he's probably got the most difficult position in Major League Baseball, running the New York Yankees with the Yankee fan base being as feverish and wrong as it is,
Yeah.
and the Yankee organization and the impact it has, not just in New York, it's pretty much worldwide. It's one of the most popular, one of the most recognizable brands in sports,
Yeah.
and he has one of the most difficult positions to put a winning club every year out there, a World Series contender every year.
Yeah.
Is it getting to the point where with Brian Cashman that do you see them going in a different direction without?
Oof.
Personally, I
So
don't see it. Personally, I don't see it. I think he deserves a little bit more time to try to reconfigure the roster if he can. But some of the
okay.
stuff that I'm hearing,
So I like Cashman. I like him a lot. You ask the Pirates fans if they would rather have Cashman as their GM than what they currently have to live through. Uh, I like Cashman. I think he makes see, with my idea about Cashman is he's made a lot of really low key trades that really panned out. I think the DD trade was like massive. Getting him, I think, he really developed under the Yankees. And so he's made a lot of like these shrewd moves that's worked out, but then he's also made like moves that didn't work, like the Sonny Gray trade. I think if you ask any fan, when it happened, they were excited for that. I think everyone was like, "Oh, damn, that's actually a really good move."
I
It
thought that was
just
a great move.
it just didn't work out. I think he's made moves that look good and should have worked, but just didn't work out. But then he's also made some bad trades and some really good trades. So I don't know, like getting a guy like Clint Frazier, being enamored with his bat speed, and getting all these other players that aren't balanced. They're heavy on the offensive side, and now you're seeing the fruits of what Cashman has built, and it's a very it's supposed to be a very offensive heavy team with subpar defense all around. So even the oh my god, he's been injured. The first baseman,
Luke
uh,
Voigt.
Luke Voigt, a diamond in the rough. That guy is an MVP. Like this guy's a gold, like silver slugger at first base. He was in MVP conversations. He's up on the home run leaderboard, stuff like that. And he was just sitting around in the St. Louis Cardinals minors league system for forever. So Cashman works. I think Cashman definitely is aware that he works in a very hot pot bubble in New York. Like a lot is demanding of him, and he's very. I remember there was a conversation like off season where the media was asking him kind of pointed questions about certain things, and then he kind of got on the defensive, and it kind of showed his a little chink in his armor because he kind of snapped back at the reporter. I think it was a Sweeney Murdy. I forget exactly the question, but I remember he really took offense to one of the questions he was asked. So I think he feels the pressure, especially everyone from Yankee fans are like, oh, it's been 11, 10 years since a World Series. It's always World Series or bust. And 2017 really reawoken the fans, but now that's over and the expectation is back to winning a World Series. And Cashman is on the hot seat. I think Cashman is on the hot seat. There's not going to be too many years like this. Um, you know, if I mean they won 100 games twice in a row 3 years and 2 years ago, and then 2020 2019 was like a weird season with the COVID. So I don't know. I think he's always on the hot seat. And then when you have and again, this is early, so I think you know Cashman is always on the hot seat.
Um, who has gotten your attention on the pitching side? For me, it's Chad Green and Michael King with their work out of the bullpen. Garrett Cole, we could always talk about, but those
Yeah.
two receivers coming out of the bullpen has kind of helped at least keep the games close. I mean, the record could be worse if those two weren't pitching well.
Well, our bullpen has been playing very well. Guys like Sessa have been getting some key innings. Who was it that just got some like that got like a high leverage? Um, was it King? Just
Well,
last game or the game we lost to the Atlanta. I think there was a pitcher that was, I think it was King,
okay.
was
I
putting in a
think
high leverage.
because I remember King when he was up against the Jays and he pitched the rest of that game. I think he went in like the third or fourth inning and just mowed down the Jays. And I was
Yeah.
just stunned by how good he was. And the first thing that kicked in my mind that got me thinking was if the Yankees get into a situation where they need him to go 3 or 4 innings at the start of a game, this could be the guy to be part of that bullpen by committee, those bullpen days. Chad Green was very good as well.
Chad Green's always solid. Yeah.
You can't really fault him.
If you want to talk about bullpen, how about Chapman? That guy has developed this kind of slurve pitch, which is, I think it has like a 98% whiff rate. And I think he's got what, 1 run or 0, something like that, like ERA or something like that. He's ridiculous.
He's
because he needs to, because the league has caught up to his 100-mile-an-hour fastball.
So you need something different.
And it's disgusting. Like you watch on TV specifically and you see the way it moves and the guys just swing over it. It's really nice to watch.
Personally, I see the Yankees rebounding in May. I have a feeling they're going to post a winning record in May. I think it's just a slow start. I know, again, people are talking about it. I know Jays fans are excited that the Yankees have been taking a beating lately.
Yeah.
But it's a long season, and personally, as a fan of baseball, if the Yankees falter, it's not that interesting.
Of course not.
Yeah,
of course not.
The Dodgers don't have that mystique like the New York Yankees have, in my eyes. But the Dodgers are a one of those legendary organizations. But when you think of baseball, you think of the Yankees. The first thing that pops into your head as a team, Yankees. And
you said it, not me.
Sorry, people in Boston, but the Red Sox suck. Okay. But no, honestly, when you think about it, the Yankees have always been that quote unquote evil empire. They're the ones that everybody wanted to knock off.
Yeah.
And they will always.
I think what it is with the Dodgers is they're just I would say a victim, but they play in the West Coast. A lot of baseball is watched on the East Coast, so those games are tougher to watch. But I don't know, they are like the shining darling right now of baseball. They're run like everyone wishes their team was run. They have all the impact players that you need to win a championship. And they got the pitching, the defense. They're a very well-run team. It's hard to say anything bad about them right now.
Oh no, they are, as of right now, they are probably like you had said, the shining light in baseball right now. They're doing everything right.
Yes.
And I think for Major League Baseball, I think their fantasy World Series matchup would be the Yankees and the Dodgers.
I hope so. At this point, I don't even want to talk playoffs right now. I want to talk about at least winning series right now and at least getting above 500.
Yeah, I'm confident that the Yankees at the end of the season, actually even at the end of May, I think they're going to be near the top of the AL East, and I think this whole slow start going to fade in the mirror. I think everyone's going to start going on this, running on the same page.
Yeah.
I do think they need starting pitching to help. I was high on Jameson Taillon and Corey Kluber, but
I
those are number.
watched
Go ahead.
I watched Jameson Tyon's last start. He looked really good. Coming back 2 years, two Tommy Johns, and
Mhm.
being able to throw up to 95 in his and David Cohn, because I'm a Yankee fan, I watch a lot of Yankee broadcasts. David Cohn is a phenomenal color man, I think is what you call him, or he's not a
Color
play-by-play. So
commentator.
he's a color commentator, and he digs into the analytics, and he was even saying that Tyon's curveball is one of the higher in revolutions per RPMs, and it looks that way. He was getting a lot of, he can throw that for a strike. He can also throw that out for for guys
Mhm.
to swing over it. But yeah, Jameson Taillon impressed me. They're going to have him on a innings limit, 4 innings, 5. It kind of, that's what this rotation is built around, is these guys that are going to give you 4 or 5, and then you got to rely heavily. That's been the Yankees' MO for the past 3 years now. Is trying to get, like, if you get 6, that's gravy. But they're relying heavily on a bullpen, and I don't think that is a winning strategy over the course of 162 games to be fresh for the playoffs. Uh, Not only is there a lot of mileage on a reliever, but also the more times you see a reliever, especially when you're playing a playoff series, it's, you have your best relievers out there every other night, and the more times you see their stuff, is the batter's key on that. So you know, uh, it's not. I don't think it's a winning formula, but we have Jameson Tyone for another year, so I understand the managing of his workload. So
No, I was excited that they had gotten Jameson Taillon. I think he has.
also with
But
Jameson Tyone, uh, Garrett Cole was a huge vocal uh, uh, person in Cashman's ear to going out and get him, because they've been in contact with each other for a long, over the course of both their careers in Pittsburgh. And then that's what Garrett Cole has come out and said, and Tyone, because I listen to a lot of Yankee podcasts, and Tyone's actually said that while rehabbing, he would show footage to Garrett, and Garrett would be giving a lot of feedback to him. So, yeah, I think it's a good signing. It's the only problem I have with that signing is that this Yankee team is in a window. It seems to be a very shortening window now, and it doesn't seem like that's like an impact player that we, and Kluber, to be honest. But I wish we could have made better moves than those guys.
yeah, I was thinking Kluber and Taillon as number 4 and 5 starters, the Yankee rotation, but they don't have the number 2 or a number 3
No.
unless Severino comes back and is lights out.
Yeah, I think Severino, like, coming off of Tommy John, so that's going to be an issue. He throws 100. He's, he. I love Severino. I just think a lot of the things that his issues are between the ears, whether giving up signs, like giving up his pitches to the Red Sox, um, and also I had a lot of high hopes for Domingo Herman. You see the stuff, but then I think, again, another guy that has all the talent in the world, but the problems are in between his ears. He'll have a guy, you know, catch him for a home run, and then he'll just like unravel. So yeah, I like the talent that we have. It's just staying healthy and being more like mentally strong. Because you listen to guys like David Cohn and stuff like that. They have the intelligence, and I'm not saying these guys aren't smart. It's just I think they they're not 100% committed mentally to the game while they're pitching.
This reminds me of a conversation you and I had a few years ago, and we were talking about Stroman and Severino. And I don't know if you remember that conversation. It's like which one would you
Well,
pick?
which one? Oh,
Yeah.
I would say Severino
Yep.
because I would say, but I like Stroman. I think Stroman gets a lot of hate. I think he's great for the game. I think he brings a lot of personality on the field, which I think this sport needs. Um, and he has the stuff. He has the stuff to pitch in the American League East, which is very difficult. He's also pitched for the World Baseball Classic and pitched a hell of a game for USA. So I think he has it. I think he's great. I really wish there wasn't a war of words with Cashman. I wish there would have been a little bit more ability to entice him to sign a contract. Um, it's unfortunate as a Yankee fan.
I think he's a free agent at the end of the season. So
Yeah, but I don't see him with the
leaving New
war
York.
of words with the war of words that Cashman said about him, and then Stroh taking it to Twitter and kind of replying. Um, I don't see it happening here. I don't think Cashman's going to offer the money, so I don't think it's going to happen.
He's going to
But
be a Met.
I would love him. I would love him on the team. I would love him.
I think Stroman is a Met. I think he's going to kind of re-sign with the Mets. That's what I
Yeah.
feel. Um, yeah, I mean, we've pretty much covered everything we wanted to cover. We talked about the Yankees. They got
I,
an
I got a
upcoming
I
series.
got a question for you.
Mm-hmm.
The one of the huge demographics that used to be in baseball was the African American talent, and a lot of it has been said that African American talent has not been filtering up to the major leagues like it used to. I guess with the emergence of basketball and stuff like that. What do you think Major League Baseball can do to entice African American kids to play baseball than other sports?
I think right now they're kind of moving in the right direction by highlighting a lot of the players like Tim Anderson, like Marcus, like Mookie, and having people realize that, especially the African American community and people of color, that this is a game that, you can
Yeah,
now. Is it a matter of getting him out there to play at the diamonds? That's the other thing you want to try and do is how do we get these kids to go out and play? When I was growing up, there was a whole bunch of us that used to go and play. And now, I mean, take a look at when we play softball. I think, honestly, I think maybe Jerome and I are the only two people of color that are there.
yeah, for real, for real.
And that's a little concerning because now you're saying, well, the game, there's nothing really wrong with the game. We just got to get people out to play and get them playing. And once they start to play and once they get the feel for the game, and once they realize it is a fun game. And right now, what they're seeing on television is home runs and walks.
And it's a very lucrative game too. Like
Yep.
I think I think a lot of kids will opt for basketball, or sorry, not basketball, football especially. But that is it's such a use they use their talent and discard them whenever because it's such a physical sport. But it seems like it would take more money to play football. But then again, I think football is such an institution, but so is baseball. Like I just don't understand why, because the talent, like the ability to play basketball, the skill has never been more highlighted. I think it kind of took a dip in the 90s and stuff like that. But the athleticism needed to play the sport is so coveted now that I think, you know, and I would imagine that it's obviously a less strenuous sport to play than football. You would think that it would be,
I
more,
think part of it's financial too, because in basketball they do 1 year of college and they're right to the pros and they get the money.
yeah,
Whereas in baseball, not so much. You got to do at least a year or two in the minors.
that
Kind
is true.
of,
That is
so
true.
that could be it as well. For a lot of families, it could be the money, and
Yeah,
for that prospect or that player, it's I want to support my family right away. So that could be a factor as well.
yeah,
But we got to get more people playing. We got to get more people playing.
yeah,
They have programs in place in the RBI program. They got a few others as well. The Players Alliance looks like they're trying to capture that demographic and get them involved.
yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
I think in the next 5 to 10 years, maybe within 5 years, you'll start seeing that percentage go up. where it'll be up to 10, 15, 20%, I think.
Yeah.
And I think that's, but right now, I think it's at 8%
Yeah. Yeah.
for African American players in the game. And, it's a work in progress.
Yeah.
But Mookie is a huge attraction. Everybody likes
Yeah.
Mookie Betts.
Yeah. Yeah.
Everybody Marcus is, can be controversial, but people watch him pitch. You see his excitement and his ability. Tim Anderson, who's won a batting title.
I think also a factor is the league doesn't really promote their stars, doesn't really
I agree.
promote players, and like don't you don't see shoes, you don't see the faces, the personality, and I think a lot of kids like when I was growing up, I gravitated towards the sport because I became a big Derek Jeter fan, and you model when you're playing little league, you're modeling your swing after your favorite player, and it really gets the kids involved in a sport. So I think they're really doing their sport a disservice by not promoting their players.
I think I agree. The more they promote the individual players, I know it's something that they have like an old idea or an old ideology that if you promote the players, then it's not really promoting the game. But if you promote the players, you're actually promoting the game.
Yeah.
Like there's, Mike Trout should be on everybody's tip of their tongue.
Yeah.
He's one of the best players in the game we have right now. Probably one of the best players we've ever seen.
Yeah.
Um,
Like I remember growing up, like names like Alex Rodriguez, Derek Jeters, Sammy Sosa's, those were household names. Those were really household names.
mhm.
You knew of these players. How many of these kids know like who the stars are nowadays? And I think that falls on MLB to market their sport because I think they're doing a terrible job of marketing the sport of baseball.
I mean, yeah, growing up, we had Jose Canseco when he
Cons-
busted out. Canseco was a
yeah.
huge name. McGuire was a huge name.
Delgado, especially in this
Yeah,
city, Delgado was huge. Yeah, yeah,
it was, even if, in the 80s, and, again, media was different back then. So you really had to pay attention. If you wanted to know something about the Yankees, you knew about Winfield, you knew about Henderson, you knew about Mattingly,
yeah,
you knew about Dave Rigetti because you were watching them on television or you were reading them in a newspaper. And now everything's so at everyone's fingertips. It's almost like it's there for the taking. Promote the players. People should know about Mike Trout. People should know about Shohei Ohtani. People should know.
yes.
I mean, Fernando Tatis, seemingly everyone knows about because of just
Yeah.
how talented he is.
It's just, but the thing is, I think he's just so larger than life right now because he's got that swag that like
He has that youth, that youthful attraction.
yes, yeah, exactly. And yeah, I think there's a lot of talent in this league, and I don't think it's getting like its proper spotlight from its own sport.
How many people
Yeah,
know about Ronald Acuna Jr.? How many people know about Juan Soto?
yeah,
We know about Vladdy because we're in Toronto, and
yeah,
but promote them, promote them.
100%, 100%.
I agree.
Yeah,
Yeah. So this is pretty cool. With the Yankees, we talked about what's going on in the game itself.
yeah.
Um, Anything else you want to bounce off before we call it a day?
Um. Okay, you being a Jays and Yankees fan, what by All-Star break, what do you see the division looking like?
I see the division becoming a three-team race between the Yankees, the Jays, and Tampa. Tampa has always been one of those teams that are you try and figure out how they do it, and I'm really starting to find myself gravitating towards the Rays and how I don't know how they do it, but they win. Um, I see Boston faltering, and I see Baltimore faltering. I think
Yeah,
by the All-Star break, it's going to be the Yankees, the Jays, and the Rays. Literally, I said this on another show. It may take 85 wins to get into the wild card
that's sad. That's sad.
because
I yeah,
I can't like the White Sox are a good young team. The Twins, the Indians can make some noise out there. the Royals, I believe, will falter a bit, but they're going to be competitive. And in the West, you have the Angels, the Athletics, and the Astros.
Yeah,
I feel the Mariners will kind of take a step back. The Rangers are
yeah,
nowhere near to be. I feel the Rangers have been winning games by smoke and mirrors. They're
Rangers.
rebuilding.
Yeah, yeah, oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
So
Yeah,
I think the competition is going to be very, very close. And that's why I say 85 wins. You might have a few to 84, 83 and be one or two games out of the wild card.
yeah.
85 might be in. Um, I don't know. I can't see a team winning 100 games this season.
No,
You know, at the end of May, but right now I can't see it.
I
There's no
don't.
one.
I don't see this year's Yankee team going on such a run where they do win 100 games. I hope they do, but I just don't see it. I don't know what it is about them. They're just very lackluster. I think I read a stat somewhere that said that their expected wins are higher than their actual wins, but at some point is you got to win actual games instead of getting those projected wins. So um, this current iteration of this team just seems uh, seems like they're missing a balanced approach to the sport with the lack of defense, because I think they're really poor on defense.
I think if there's going to be a 100-win team, it's going to be the Dodgers by far. They may win 105,
Oh yeah, yeah. I don't see why not.
and the Padres could win 100.
Uh, it's gonna those two teams are gonna be fun to watch this year for sure, and in the next few years.
Yeah, they're both young. They're both loaded. The Padres went all in. They wanted
That
to get players.
now now seeing what they are doing now, it was that reminds me of the Machado signing for them, because at first you're like, what the heck is going on here? And then like why would they do that? It seems like there are a few more years in that they need to work develop, and then boom, you have a world's like a playoff contender. So yeah, I really like the Padres. I think the Padres are a very fun team in the sport to watch right now. Um, the the injury to Fernando Tatis, is he back yet or no?
He's played. The concern out of San Diego at the moment is his defense is a little shaky. It's like what we're having in Toronto, though.
Like
With
the
his,
throwing, or what did he hurt exactly?
it was his, if I'm not mistaken, it was his left shoulder, and he did come back. He has played, but he has struggled since his return. I don't know what he did last night, but I remember reading that the struggles from the injury. Uh,
Yeah, yeah,
uh, but totally realize he's young. He's going to make mistakes, have errors
yeah.
defensively. But
They
offense,
signed him to like 15 years, something like that.
yeah, amazing. I mean, he's incredibly. He's television. Him, Acuna, Soto, Vladdy this year, Bo this year.
Do you think Vladdy's seeing these contracts and be like, damn, I could have been, maybe next year, something like that. Like if he was on the projection of what he was projected to play, like if he was playing up to what people thought he was capable of, like the Jays would have been thinking of locking him up to big bucks sooner rather than later. I think I think he's looking around and be like around the league and be like, I might have missed on some dollars early.
Could be.
And Judge to be to him too, because
He's been hurt.
he's been hurt. You can't rely on him. And what does the team do? They bought out his arbitration this year. Um, but yeah, what he's capable. I honestly think a given healthy, productive year, he's in the running for MVP easily.
I find that he should have won the MVP, not Altuve.
Yeah, I think
That's how I felt. That's
yeah, that year his stats were every offensive category besides average and stolen bases and strikeouts. Everything else he dwarfed Altuve in, and he rates better defensively at right field than Altuve does second base. and then you find out about the cheating, it adds more frustration to Yankee fans and big Judge supporters like I am, because you look at when they break it down side by side, is like, come on.
Let me ask you a fantasy question here.
Okay.
Off season, Yankees make the playoffs, but they don't win the World Series. Carlos Correa, Corey Seager, Marcus Simeon, because he's a shortstop. And who do you go after? And
Isn't Carlos Correa the best option at shortstop out of those names?
I would say Corey Seager.
Yeah. You don't think Carlos Correa is a better shortstop?
I think they're comparable defensively. I mean, you'll get better defense.
But
at
let me
short.
ask you a question. If you
Mhm.
sign any of those players
Mhm.
to, which would probably be a big bucks contract,
Mhm.
what is your infield defense lining up? What do you do?
So my infield defense would line up at Gio Urshela at third, because I think he's probably the best defensive infielder you have on that team at the moment.
Yes.
Seager at short, Torres at second, and then I would move DJ LeMahieu to first. It's not. I know. The look on your face tells me that's not a good idea, but or
What do you do with Luke Voigt then?
can you trade him for pitching?
So here's my problem with any scenario where you get rid of Luke Voigt. And this is a big thing for the Yankees front office with its cost, with its its balance of value and production. The value that you get for Luke Voigt on the field at his bare minimum contract, playing at an MVP caliber level, is how do you miss that? How do you give up that power moving him out of first base and putting DJ LeMahieu at first just to sign another expensive contract? I think what the Yankees really did was mess up signing DJ LeMahieu past last year. I think he was great for us. I think great teams recognize, hey, you were great for us, but moving forward, considering what's coming down the pipeline and what we have, I think that 6-year contract for DJ, or 6 or 5, whatever it was, I think that really
6 years and 90.
Yeah, 6. Yeah, so I think that really you kind of handcuff the infield, because where are you going to play Glaber? Are you going to move Glaber? You're going to move the potential of a 30-35 home run hitting shortstop? Like, you don't give up on that either. You don't give up on a Luke Voigt. I think the easiest play would have been to not give up, but you just let DJ LeMahieu go somewhere else. Like, Toronto wanted him. You should have let Toronto sign him, and then
I
you would have moved Torres to second base, where he's a much better fielder.
Mhm.
And then you could have made a play. I don't know. I just don't see. I bet this offseason, just like the Machado, or just like the pitcher that went to Nationals, that the Yankee fans really wanted, that the Cashman didn't sign. I think that's going to happen again this year. I don't see how you do that. How you spend the big bucks when you have DJ and Torres and Luke Voigt. I don't see how that infield shapes up. I just don't see it.
I agree with you, because when DJ was a free agent, I figured the Jays would get him. I didn't think the Yankees would be heavily involved in getting him. I think they would have given him a contract offer.
Yeah.
And I was a little bit surprised that he had re-signed with the Yankees.
Yeah.
But I think he wanted to stay in New York. I know the Mets
Yeah.
as well.
He did. DJ, from what I've heard, DJ and Cashman had a kind of, or DJ's representatives and Cashman was like, basically, go on the free market, see what you get, and then come back to us. I think he got an offer from the Blue Jays, and then I think it was for less and a little bit more, but I think DJ
I heard it
wanted the
was
years.
Yeah. I think I heard it was 18 for 18. It was like 4 years and 72.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
so then Cashman gave him a little bit more on the years, and that's how they came to an agreement. So I don't know, 6 years, 6 more years of a DJ LeMay who is a contact hitter, who's not going to give you, I think his contact ability is only going to go down. I don't see him. He's going to be a veteran in the sport, but you know, 330, 338 batting average, anywhere close to that. I don't think it's. I think those years are behind him.
It's gonna be interesting what the Yankees are gonna do.
Yeah,
So who would you take though? Or Correa? You think kind of if you had the opportunity?
I think Correa is like a Alex Rodriguez move, and I didn't really enjoy Rodriguez in his time here. Just his personality. I think he's a really weird guy. He had like that WWE promo trying to stick up for Altuve, and so he just comes off really weird to me. So I don't really like him. I think he's a great player, and then given all the Houston stuff, I just think I don't want him on my team. Uh, and then I guess Story is the next best
Yeah.
option. So, but where do you play him? Could he play third? Like, could you? He's obviously a better bat than Urshela, but then like again, Urshela provides you with value given his production. So I don't know. I don't know. It's Cashman is a much smarter man than me. The analytics is a much smarter brain trust than this guy. I'm just a fan. I just enjoy the sport. My opinions are my opinion, and I think they're in a pickle.
I thought you said that.
I think they're in a pickle, and I think the Yankee fans are going to expect, especially Yankee Twitter, they're going to expect a big signing to fill a spot that I don't know that they already have clogged up. So I don't know. I don't know.
I would
The
target.
window, the window is closing. The Yankees window is sadly closing. We were screwed by two teams that were cheating and then a pandemic. So that is my salty take for you.
Salty hot take, courtesy of Mr. Steven Jones. Anyway, I think we've pretty much covered everything. We had a little bit of fun. We had a little bit of fantasy talk. I say get Seager. You say what do we do when we get him?
Seager's Story.
Yeah. No, Story's a free agent too.
Sorry. Oh yeah. Corey, I think Corey Seager is the better option than Story.
His left-handed bat in Yankee Stadium.
Yeah,
that's what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
And they do need more left-handed hitters in that lineup, I feel.
Yeah. I will say I don't mind the right-handed hitters that we have because their exit velocity is off the charts and they can go the opposite way. It's not hard. The only way that a left-hander really benefits is like the Didi Gregorius is like he only really ever really goes left. So being in Yankee Stadium, his home run power to right field is a plus. But Voit, Giancarlo Stanton, Judge, even Torres, when he's really good, he has the ability to hit home runs all over the field. Like he can poke it in the shallow right porch. So I left-handed Yankees winning teams always have had the power lefty, and it makes sense. But obviously, in this new age baseball with the heavy analytical front office that the Yankees are, they don't really see much difference. But I always enjoyed a balanced lineup. So yeah.
So we'll call it a day. That was pretty awesome. Thank you, Stephen. We will do this again.
Sure.
As often as you are free. Unfortunately, we're going to have a Jays fan by the name of Mark showing up sooner or later.
Oh yeah, so,
Mark. I'm going to kind of let him talk. Let him just ramble. And then I think we're going to have Jerome on a little bit later as well, which is going to be fun.
All right.
But yeah, and they can always open for everyone who is watching this. The one or two that are, thank you for tuning into us. You can catch myself on Blue Jay Center from time to time. You can catch myself on the 4040 show, and you can catch me right back here on YouTube and on Instagram. And Steven, you can catch him on Instagram. He's there. You can find him. What's your Instagram handle?
I don't even know.
Oh, good grief. So much for self-promotion.
I'm not one to self promote, but it is PNC Jones.
That worked. And I've been getting some questions about a portrait that's behind me right now. This one there, that was made by a very talented artist in Toronto. And I thank her very much for it. Her name is Susan Elizabeth Inc. You can catch her on that Instagram, and I'll post everything in the video as well for you to kind of take a look at. So everyone, thank you so much for paying attention. Thank you for listening on this Yankee-centric first episode of Into the Gaps. And we will see you another time. Take care, everyone.